about more about webtoons drama with our guest here, Raul, the creator of the webtoon with the name. Please tell us the name of your webtoon, Raul, and
Yes. I'm writing and drawing for Viesna on the English platform, and something called Dragon Lessons on the French platform.
Mhm. Well, we are so happy to have you here on our podcast today. We are enjoying our time so far. But we got more questions to ask you, unscripted ones first, before we head to the scripted ones. Actually, there are about 3 or 4 questions, fun questions, before we head to the scripted ones. So before we head to the scripted ones, our audience, please feel free to send us your questions about anything for Raul, anything for her webtoon, your thoughts about uh, the characters, the story. Of course, she is not going to spoil any fun for her story, but feel free to send us your questions. We are here today to answer all of your questions regarding to art, writing stories, writing drama, writing sci-fi. So please send us your question. Well, the first question is, how did you get your powers?
My poem.
Yeah, Spider-Man got Spider to bite him so he can be a Spider-Man. As for Superman, he did
How
come
did
to
I get
Earth,
my?
so he did have
Okay.
his Superman powers.
Yes.
How did you get your own powers?
I guess it's passion, and a lot of research, and a lot of experiment with anything historical. Now I can draw.
Oh, where are you from?
I'm France.
That's awesome, actually. There's too many people who would like to visit France, actually.
Yes, you can for now. Soon.
Yeah. Well, the next question is, do you play video games?
No, I'm mostly someone who watches people who play video games.
You don't play video games?
Nah, I don't have time for that. I need to draw and shoot, and so how to sew clothings. Really.
That's cool. Well, do you have any secret hobbies other than art?
Other than art, I guess it's Excel. Making a lot of stats. Statistics is my passion too. Is my passion.
I can't hear it. I can't understand.
How do you say that? Excel. It's all about the statistics and the probabilities and numbers.
Oh, Excel, you mean?
Yes.
You love working on Excel, actually. Actually, this is scary. This software actually brings me nightmares.
Yes. There's a lot to do on this. You can even program. You can even make. That's impressive.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome, actually. That's so amazing. Oh, what is the latest show you are watching?
Watch Witch Dragon, but that's not a show. The last thing I watched on was Wish Dragon, the dragon, the pink dragon who will grant a wish to some guy friend, and she disappeared. And the last show I watched, a full show. I think it prints.
It's a Netflix show, right?
Yes, it is a Netflix original, and it's about dragons. And this time it's more about the fact that it's by the team who made Avatar and Voltron. Yes, and so the story starts a bit like Avatar with the elements, but the elements are things that the dragons do. And one day, one human stole a egg, and this started a war between the dragons and the humans, so they don't talk to each other anymore. But then the main character and its family discovers this egg, and has to get this egg to the real mom of the real mom of the egg.
I know the show, but never watched it actually. So we are going to head to the actual scripted questions. Well, the first one is, how did you start your career, and are you a full-time artist?
Okay, so first, I'm not a full-time artist. I also have work on the informatics. I work in testing softwares full-time, and then art is my hobby. But as a career which wins money, a bit of money, I started selling animations on DeviantArt. And if it's career like my first comic was in 2012, and it was about dragons. There's a theme, and it was more or less 2 years starting drawing for real.
That's cool.
Yes.
That's amazing, actually. So, when did you start drawing?
I started drawing around the end of high school. You see, that was because I was I wanted to be a writer first, so I wrote a lot of stories. Then I discovered I could draw a bit of I discovered the light novel. You see, the book with writing the pictures. And so I wanted to do that. And in the end, I was more interested by the drawing than the writing. So I started doing comics instead of light novels.
You do have an amazing art style, actually. How did you develop this art style so it can fit your storyline and storytelling?
Yes. So I have a lot of styles, but the one who sticks was mostly influenced by the Wings Club and the DreamWorks animation, the 2D animation from DreamWorks. And once it's smooshed, it gives my basic style. And then I add a bit more of Renaissance painting and pre-Raphaelite paintings too. So a lot of historical painting. There's Muka too, Art Nouveau and Muka, especially Muka. And there's also that I'm searching a lot of primary sources for historical clothing to show my own clothing. So I have a lot of influence that are historical over ancient stuff.
So your love for animation motivates your art style.
Yes, that's it. That was back in 2010, and there was this spirit, the spirit stallion of the cinnamon, which had a bonus who helped start drawing. It was how to draw a horse like Spirit, and I started drawing with that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I did love Spirit animation. Did love how did they make the movie?
It was an awesome film. Yes, this movie was awesome.
Yeah, so true, so true.
Yes.
So every webtoon creator does have a struggle to schedule his day or her day so he can start making story and applying them into canvas, applying them into papers and drawing them, preparing them, coloring them, adding letters, um, finalizing them so he or she can post them on webtoon. So how can a creator, how can you schedule, how can you prepare your whole day? So you
Yes,
just told us you are a software programmer, and you do know
yes.
more about software. So how do you organize your day between your actual job and your webtoon?
Having a job full time helps a bit for scheduling because once I'm home, I do my course, the classical course I hit, and then I have like three hours of drawing. I can do only drawing, so it's like 3 hours a day I draw, and I know it's going to be from 9 to um, to 11 p.m. or
Mm.
midnight, until midnight, and midnight it's sleeping, and then it's going back to work. And during weekends, I do a lot of. I still do this schedule. I start drawing at 9 p.m. Even if on the morning I can have time to draw a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it.
That's cool, actually. So do you have any plans on being a full-time artist?
Yes, I do, but I think I won't be to. I won't be able to be fully artist to live the kind of life I live with. So the just the fact that I have an apartment is already very high. Which needs a very high price.
Mhm.
A very high salary wage?
A very high rates.
Anyway, yes, and so to be a full time I to uh,
Be
to
able to
invest
afford the rates
a
and
lot.
your
Yes, I just need
your.
to win money good art, or really have a good job at art.
Mhm.
It's kind of possible, but I think I won't be able to do this because I don't have the art. I don't have the advanced people who made the art career first. I don't have the advance, so I won't
Mm.
probably be able to say,
Well,
"Hey, I'm really excited."
you don't have it till now, because I see that your
Yes,
artwork is
one day I could
amazing,
be.
and you are going to be making more amazing
Yes,
stories and more art. So I know that if you
yes,
dictate your time to your cause, you will finally in the end be a full-time artist, because your
yes.
future is what you
I
do
hope.
every day.
Yes, thanks you.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. But I have plans to have time, part time with art, and I'm trying
Mm.
to get to the mindset that, like you said, that I could do it. I can do it.
So, are you going to print your webtoon?
I won't be printing this, but I will be printing most of my comics I did for the French part. The
Mm.
Dragons lesson, I will definitely print it already, do it as a printing comic, and I just get the frames, the panels, and make it so it's a webtoon. But it's basically made for the page format, so it will be printed, and I'll be doing
So, your
some
fans should be expecting a
yes,
printed version. This is a
yes.
promise from Raul. Your fans will be expecting a printed version of your
Dragon's
webtoon
lesson.
Vesna. Yeah.
No, it's Dragon's lesson. It will be printed. Fiesta won't. Viesna needs to have a lot of more spin-offs, so I can be sure so I can be sure the story is perfect. But Dragon's Lesson is okay because it's a comedy, and I love comedy. I'm a big fan of Cusco and things like El Dorado from DreamWorks. So it's really easy for me to be confident about my comedy. So I will print my comedies.
You do have another story called Dragon's Lesson?
Yes.
Well,
just one.
I didn't see it.
Yes, I know. You want a link?
Yeah, but we would like to see the link so we can share it with our audience later.
Yes.
So.
Okay, so it's called Allez, je suis humain in French, but the real name is Dragon's Lesson.
You do indeed love dragons so much.
It just happens.
Yeah, I do love dragons too.
It's an adventure because I had a friend who's historian who's working in animation now, and she was drawing a lot of dragons, and so I was so there was a lot of influence of her on me, and basically I drew horses. At the basic, I drew horses, and I tried sometimes to draw dragons because this friend, made me want to draw something different.
That's cool. Well, you did tell us about 3 hours you do to make art, but we do want to know more about the process you make art. How do you start making art? How do you start from scratch to the final look we can find on WEBTOON?
Okay, so start with writing because for comics it's writing first, right? And I already have some images on my head, so I always have a sketchbook on me. I go to work, I have my sketchbook. I go anywhere, I have my sketchbook, and I have a pen, a classical pen, big. And I tend to draw things I have in my head there, and I add it to the writing, or the writing makes it I sketch something because I have something to draw. And once I have this, I just go on my computer and start the storyboarding. So for Viesna in particular, it's very easy because it's already a webtoon. It's already a webtoon format. So just draw all my frames and my backgrounds. I go on SketchUp to construct my SketchUp in my 3D backgrounds because I need the 3D backgrounds as a base for the perspective, so it goes faster. I could do it myself, but I need to go faster with Viesna, so I use the 3D models. And it's easy too because Viesna is a lot of details, so I love having the base and just adding the details. Base with some Baroque details, and I'm adding some things sometimes. Once I have all of this, once I have my 3D backgrounds, my storyboard, I start making the line art.
Which software you're using again?
It's Clip Studio Paint. I use Clip Studio Paint from finish. Unless it's writing. Writing is on the Google Docs, like everyone, because I need to have it on my computer so I can write anywhere. And so I have my computer, which is a PC, and I have Clip Studio Paint on it.
That's cool.
Yes, and it's easier for the workflow because I have version. I have the version, so I have really all the tools that Clip Studio Paint could have. Then once I have the line art, I just go on the flats, the shading, the lighting, and I made the bubbles before this again, but I have the bubbles too. And once I have this, I just keep this one day, so I can think. I can just forget what I did, something like this. And I go back on this next morning. I'm rereading what's happening. I'm posting on Webtoon, but as a scrap. A scrap. I mean, I don't post it. Just it just upload the images. I check this again with the preview mobile, and I'm okay with that. I just schedule it for the date I want it. It's usually a Saturday, because Saturday I have time for the promotion about my comics.
And that's amazing, actually. Thank you for the details. Well, do people love the line art you do, those outlines you're making for the characters? I'm asking, is this custom inking brush you created on Clip Studio Paint?
Yes, for each
That's
comic
cool.
I do, yes, I do custom brushes, because for each comic I do, I want a style in particular, and I test a lot of styles, and then I have my custom brush. For Vesna, I'm changing the custom brush because I have it I have a custom brush which is just the classical J-pen on CSP, on Clips Over Paint. And I just changed this so the opacity is random, so it had some sketchy vibes. And people told me if I did something with plain line art, this could help me be more clean, something like this, be more clean, have more patience, maybe. So I'm changing this for classic Japan. And then for most of my comics, I have to have textures on the line art, so I use the texture, but modified. I tend to modify my brush.
I can see that. I can also see that your art style is a mixture between anime, cartoons, and old French illustrations we can find in old French comic books or strip comic books. So how did you make this mixture between those three styles?
Okay, so first I was more into manga. It was really manga. It was my favorite was Black Butler. I wanted to draw like what's Tsobo Anna Tsobozo. I wanted to draw like Anna Tsobozo from the start, but I also had the comics from America. The comics from America were really something I wanted to go to because there was the muscles, and I'm really good at anatomy, and I like drawing muscles. So I needed to fuse anatomy work with comics, super comics, and that was hard. So in 2019, yes, you say 2019. So in 2019, I went to art courses. I paid for courses to learn to draw from the basics, so I could have the basics from scratch, because in the basics with books I could spare, or I could drop to my feet. I was stealing books from my family, and I was buying books how to draw manga, and I learned from this and the DVD and the digital disc of Stupid. So it was strange, and so I paid 1 year of course at night, so I learned from scratch how to draw again. And then I found that I liked the very French comic
Have you been
style.
drawing live sketches and gesture drawings?
No. Yes.
No.
No. I mean, it was sketchbook. In my sketchbook, I draw a lot of sketch, but sketch like humor, because comedy sketch. In French, sketch can be comedy actually. So I never really drew little comics of 4 frames with some. I never really did it for a long time. Like it was one shots. It was a one shot each time. I did four yonkomas, like you say, like they say. I just did, yes. Yonkomas were very rare from me. I was more into illustrations with hands and muscles. And I went back to comically with series, which is Astrocolloque, which is the story of Moon having a TikTok account and telling her life in the flat share of the solar system. That's it. So I started with a webtoon. I restarted with a webtoon directly.
Well, you did tell us about how did you shape, how did you create your unique art style, the mixture of your art style. But what influences have shaped your writings?
So my writing was first. I was first interested in everything that was out in the 2000s. So there was Eragon. There was close. The things with the hobbits. The Lord of the Ring. I had the Lord of the Ring and Eragon and everything that was fantasy at the time as a first inspiration. So I wanted, and most of it and also everything that was tales, fairy tales. I love fairy tales a lot. So
sorry for cutting you. Do you read Lord of the Rings or Eragon books?
I just read the beginning of the Lord of the Rings.
So your experience is only from the movies?
Yes, more or less. Yes, the writing of the it was interesting. Yeah, this. But then yes, and I was so reading a lot of science fiction from the 50s, like 1984 and the Brave New World. So I had a lot of sci-fi in my readings, and yeah. And now a lot of my experience from on writing is screenplay, because there's a structure to there's easy structure to analyze on screenplays.
Well, I'm going to ask you how do you deal with angry fans?
I usually laugh at them. I love turning bad comments into a joke. For example, once I had someone who said like I had someone who said just something like, "Oh, you wrote something wrong," like Nazi. You see, a grammar Nazi. So he saw there was a mistake in my phrasing, in my phrasing, and he said it with a very. It was very mad how we told me. So I want on all social medias and try to make the best theatrical event around that. Like I was all into irony, like. Oh, see this guy, he's saying I'm not writing well. Oh, I'm sorry. I could never do this again. So that was like this.
Well, that's cool. Please, our audience, feel free to send us your questions. We are here today to answer all of your questions, Ro and me. Andrew, we are waiting for your questions, so send them away. Your webtoon is a sci-fi drama. So, how do you write a drama?
How do you write drama? So,
you can give us a couple of tips to your fans or any WEBTOON wannabe beginner would like to go his own or her own path. So share with us your experience.
Okay, so my drama experience is very theatrical. So it's a lot of Shakespeare inspiration. And so it's usually something that's really ironic. So it's something like there's something joyful, and then you put something terrible next to it, and you smash them together. So it's really funny how they are next to them, but at the same time it's a trap because there's like there's fatality, like there's the destiny which says you are going to have a bad life, but the guys try to escape this life destiny, but they cannot. They will never be able to escape the destiny. I like this kind of drama, and and position is makes a real story to me.
That's fun. That's fun. So, going to ask you, how long is your WEBTOON going to last? How many years?
Yes. Oh, yes. I mostly think in chapters because I work on it anytime I have time to do something on this. So it's going to be around 20 episodes. So
20
it's going
episodes.
to be 5 years. 5 years of this.
5 years.
If I post once a month. If I can post once a month.
Oh, okay. Well, your fans do have some patience indeed.
Yes, and they have to have patience because it's change project in the middle of some other. So I usually they have to adapt.
Well, because I'm sorry for your fans, actually.
Yes, it's not nice, but I'm still searching. I'm still searching myself in the writing part. So I'm confident about my writing. So I try to start something and finish it more or less. Or if in the middle of the thing the plot is not going nowhere, I will stop this project, start a new one with totally other characters, and maybe in 2 years this will come back, new scenario. But for now, I want to work on these other things.
Well,
so
is Dragon Lesson going to be when Dragon Lesson is going to be released?
Dragon Lesson is airing on French platform, on the French platform, because there's a contest, and I think it will last until next May. It will last until May, more or less, and May I will start saying, oh, I want to print it. I finished the story. I want to print it, and you can give me, you can help me on Kickstarter or so. So and I'm confident about I'm confident with lesson. So I potentially won't go on a project before I finish this one, because I really want to have a book for physical conventions, and this will go back soon.
So, what's the tools you are using to make art? You just mentioned Clip Studio Paint. You just mentioned Sketchbook. What kind of graphic tablet you are using? People love to ask these questions, actually.
It's an Intuos Pro. I'm cheap. I don't have a screen tablet for 1 year, and it's not working anymore because it's a Cintiq. It's an old Cintiqs have a really bad job in the connectics. So it's just the connectic, and nobody can repair it now. So as it's old, it was not tablet, but now I'm just working on the pen tablet, and it's okay. It works.
Yeah.
I bought a really good.
You are amazing. You are making amazing art with it.
Thank you. It's because I have a computer with a lot of good processor and good RAM and good flash memory. It helps a lot.
That's cool.
To have fluidity in the work.
Well, our next question is: when you are preparing for a new arc or a new season, how do you plan making a new season or a new arc to your story?
Most of the time, my stories are pretty short, so I can just write the outline for the whole story, and I cut. I think the season could be pretty much finished, and I could pause at this time. But as I'm and it's usually the 3 first episodes. I do the 3 first episodes. And then I can post it on Webtoon, and that's the time I have as opposed to do the next episodes. And I do 3 by 3 episodes like this. 3 or 4 episodes are like a little season for me. But I don't really think in arc or in seasons because my story is short. My stories are really short most of the time.
That's cool. So, this questions most of the creators of the science fiction and any story writer. Actually, any story writing is called fiction. So,
yes.
The question is, in general, but people are stuck with it. So how do you build imagination? How can you start creating your own imagination? You just said that you change your art style to fit any story you are creating. Me too. When I'm creating when I did create my webtoon and Smile, I had to change my art style so it can look as a mixture between a cartoon and a manga, anime, and comics. So you have to adapt and change your art style, start your own imagination for scenes, for writings, for the characters, for the creatures. Like when you are designing Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde for the first time, you will have to build your own art style and adapt your art style to build the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde of Raoult, not any other artist. So how do you build your own imagination?
So I have a sketchbook, and really the brainstorming I use for any character design. And so I also go to Pinterest to get images of the style I would like to try on this story. If it goes with the scenario, I construct mood boards there, and with these mood boards, I can barely see how I want my style to look like. And then try and redo again and again. Sometimes I also use random generators because there are image generators or any artificial intelligence that does art is also really fun to do, to try. I don't have the names in my head. It's somewhere. But I don't have the names, but there's a lot of AI that do art and can help designing something. and it's really fun to play with this because I also have the from my friends. I usually send my text to my friends, and I ask, does this character feel like, for example, yes, or it's afraid of anything, or it's shy? And I ask them this precise question so they can help me with references, for example, for Dragons the Sun, I have this main character, which is a dragon with a lot of high grounds. I don't know how to say. It's really fierce. It's proud of itself. It's pride. It's totally pride, and it's over everyone else. So I was designing it to be really thin and really like a snake. But then someone told me that it could be more like, which is the pride, the animal of pride, of excellence. Like it's always looking at you from the tigers. And so I was like, oh yes, why not? And I added some thin dogs in this. So it's a fusion of snake, swan, and a dog. The character is like this.
That's cool.
And
so,
yes.
Do you read any books? Do you read books?
Books, yes. I read most of the time comics. I usually read comics. Right now, I'm into Witch Atelier. Right now, I'm reading Witch Atelier because the framing is really interesting and the plot is absolutely marvelous. But really, the framing is really interesting because the author can double page. It has a double page.
Can you say the name again? I didn't hear it quite
Witch
well.
Atelier. Okay, Witch Atelier. Atelier, you see. So yes, there's a lot of double pages like this, and so we can read like this.
Double spread page.
It will make regular frames here, and the frame will continue here, so you can put the eyes there with perspective, because there's like
do you have it near you now so you can show it to us?
I don't have this particular thing, but I have the book. I'm coming. It's here.
Yeah.
Yes, great. Okay, so see, like she does that, which is interesting because it gives some atmosphere, and it's really graphic with pretty details like medieval illumination.
Yeah.
And
Victorian style.
Yes, the style is interesting.
Yeah. So, is there any characters or stories you are dying to do?
So there's a lot, but in Viesna, I'm dying to draw my cuties, my favorite cuties, which are Pauline and Philharmonie, and both of them appear for now in the 3 episodes. I have 2 episodes that are for under paywall on the Gumroad, so you see Philharmonie in there. You still don't see Pauline, but it comes in the middle of the story. And there's Katia, which is antagonist of the plot for now. And we don't see her a lot. She's kind of the bad guy approaching. So she will appear again in episode 14, 14. Or And then there's a story I want I am thrilled. I would be thrilled to write, and it's about a character which is a boy with rainbow hair, and it's a magic world where some people are able to some people are called gods and can use powers, and I wanted to draw the boy with his friend, which is a jaded user, and it was light and fire.
You do have many characters.
Yes.
You do have to
Yes.
love to share
Yes,
with your
yes.
friends. Indeed, that's amazing.
Yes, yes.
Feel free to tell us more.
Yes. So this story with the rainbow boy would be a slice of life buddy movie for now, but I still don't have the scenario the plot quite found yet. I need to find a plot that could make me read this.
Fits with the character.
Not
fits
just
with
because
you.
not just because there's a boy with rainbow hair. I want a plot with this. And there's also something with an angel, a demon, like people which are in the same universe where there's gods, people we call gods, and it's the same universe, but it's someone who looks like an angel, but is the worst person ever. Like he's an angel because he wanted to live forever, be beautiful forever, and have power. And the demon-like creature was like someone who likes to feast, like who likes tea with alcohol and all stuff.
Yeah.
And they would end at some point, but I asked a writer to write their introduction, and it was when I paid someone to write them because I really love the two characters I made.
Oh, that's cool. That's so cool, actually. Well, what do you want to tell to the audience through your stories?
So it starts by, we need to end capitalism, go ecology, anarchy. But actually my global intention is to say you cannot trust your current identity, and you can always learn new things and change the world, or at least the side of the world you can see can reveal itself one day. Like you see something, but it won't be the same thing the moment after. And I want to say things change, yes. But there's a lot of anarchy. There's a lot of things against the hierarchy in my stories. Vesna is clearly a world where there's no hierarchy, and the thing that made the story go was that there was some hierarchy that was going on, and it pissed off the world, so it started the story there. And in Guns N' Sons, it's more or less a syndicate, like the workers reuniting to ask the CEO of the world, of the castle, the king, to go to give some rights to people. Because it's like feudal, you see the feudal things, and so the people wanted to have like regular rights, women's rights, things like this.
So you just told us about how did you create your stories, how did you create your art, how do you reach your art style or specific art style you do want, what do you want to tell to your audience through your stories. We would like to hear some tips and tricks for our audience. This is our last question. So
yes. Okay, so I don't have a lot of tips, or at least I'm giving them on my YouTube channel, which is in French, so it's for the English audience. But if there's any French people, I have a YouTube channel where I put some tips and tricks. But my best my best advice is to learn how to pitch your story, because the story, because if you have a webtoon Canva, you need to promote it yourself. So you need to have a pitch, and pitching helps people be curious for your story. And my pitch is usually constructed like this. So the MC is something, but one day inciting incident happens. Now MC has to do that, which is what MC thinks he needs. And it has to be a lie. It has to not be the climax or the revelation. So people are not spoiled. And don't forget to add 1 or 2 medias. It can be movies or shows, anything, books, like your webtoon. It can be art too. And my pitch, for example, my pitch for Vesna is Sonia has a full fifth until she wakes up in the body that's not hers. She has to find now. She has to find how she got there and how to go back. It's a sci-fi story about identities and how to deal with it in a solar punk universe inspired by Rococo. So you get the MC as this. He loses it and he has to do something about it. And it's a sci-fi, solar punk, and Rococo. And you have all the informations like this. And if people like one of the things, he will read the story.
Oh, that's cool. That's so cool. Actually, I approve this, and I did learn a lot from this. Actually, you just say that an amazing answer. How to pitch your story is a very important thing any artist or creator should have. How to pitch your story. How to pitch your story for your fans, or for editors, or for major comic companies, so you can sell your work. Otherwise, you're not going to sell your work. So it's cool.
Yes.
Many thanks for you, Raul, for these amazing answers, for your time, actually, for sharing your experience with us, telling us about how do you make art, how do you make your webtoon. We did really thank you for all this experience.
Yeah, thank you too for the interview. I'm really happy to talk about this. So it makes me happy.
We are so happy here too. So many thanks again.
Yes.
Many thanks for you guys for watching us. Feel free to send us your questions. If you would like to know more about Ro, we'll be posting her social media links and her webtoon links on the YouTube version of the video. So feel free to check my channel on YouTube. It's called Andrew Henry. You can search for it on YouTube, Andrew Henry Webtoon. You'll find it. So send us your questions. We would like to have you again, Raul, after a couple of months, so we can learn more from your experience. So, many thanks again, and goodbye.
Many thanks. Goodbye.